if you are intentional, and that's the key point. How do you become more intentional throughout your day without having life just drag you around? We are all operating somewhere between reactivity in our daily operations and what you might call strategy. What a confusing way to start a podcast episode. So let me explain what I'm talking about here. You go through life with intention. At least that's what the Stoics and a lot of wisdom traditions say that you should do. You should have a plan for your life. You should have a goal in mind on what you want to achieve. And you should keep that in the forefront at all times. And so let's talk about the Stoic one: virtue, courage, wisdom, temperance, the four cardinal virtues, aiming to wish that things happen as they do and not as you want them to, being able to let go of desires, being able to respond in a professional when it warrants way, being able to respond in an unemotional way, a calculated way, a measured way, being kind to people, but being strong in the right moment. So that's somewhat what the Stoics, if you're thinking about, at least in my opinion, what tends to come to mind for the vision for who you want to be, how you want to be perceived, and how you want to act in the world. And you don't have to take the Stoic one. You can take whatever you want. That's the wonderful thing about Stoicism, is it doesn't necessarily say that you have to follow its tenets. However, that strategy, that aim, that desire, not desire in the petty sense, but in the sense of who you wish to become, how you wish to act in this world while you are here, that strategic component, the plan. Again, wisdom traditions might call it living with intention. And so that's an important thing. But it really begs the question, like, why do we keep having to go back to the same principles? Like, why do you, as a listener of the Strong Stoic, other than the fact that maybe, I don't know, you really like the sound of my voice, which is kind of crazy to think about, or maybe, I don't know, it's just a comforting thing on your commute into work. I don't know why you're listening to this, but that's the question. Why do we go back to the same things? Why do we go back to Stoicism? Why do you continue to listen to self-improvement podcasts or philosophy podcasts? Why do we reread Marcus Aurelius' Meditations, Epictetus, Seneca's letters? Why? Why do we keep going back to this? It's because that strategy component, strategic living, strategic planning, vision of who we want to be, that gets disrupted regularly, consistently, on the daily, on the hourly. It gets interrupted by life. People say life happens. And what they mean by that is, well, it's like, yeah, stuff just happens all the time. You're planning to go into work and the person behind you rear ends you. You are planning to spend the rest of your life in this job and your boss walks in the office and says, listen, we got some layoffs and you're on the short list, so sorry, buddy, you're out. You have plans to have the most perfect children, and then you have a kid, and then before you realize it, well, kids are a lot tougher to raise than you might have expected. We have this plan, but then life comes in and, due to its inherent complexity, challenges that vision. We can start in the morning. Open up your journal, write it down. Today I want to be strong. I want to respond with integrity. I want to respond with intention. I want to be kind. I don't want to let my anger get the best of me. I want to be kind to that coworker that always pisses me off. I want this for my day. And then on the way to work, as you're going to pull into your drive, parking space there, someone, that very coworker that always ticks you off and gets under your skin, that coworker pulls into your parking spot, even though your name's on it, and that just really grinds your gears. And then you flip and you lose it and you're back to the same thing. Well, God, like I started the day with good intentions. I started the day with who I want to be, how I want to act. And then what happened? Well, life didn't go according to plan. Life happened. Interruptions happened. Challenges happened. And so to go back to that first point I made, we're all stuck somewhere in between the daily operations of our life getting interrupted and trying to have this strategic vision, this plan for who we want to be. And we're always trying to contend with that. And so let me walk you through what typically happens to a lot of people. And hey, me probably just as much or more than anyone. You start your day, you have a plan, and then life hits. And then the day's over. The day goes by. Like that. Before you know it, it's the end of the day. You're going to bed and you're thinking, like, what the hell happened? Like, I just woke up. I had these good intentions. And then you're looking back at your day and you're going, well, compared to what I wanted to be and compared to what I actually was, there's a gap there. There's a gap there. And what is that? Again, it's because life didn't go according to plan. We have to lean into the fact that life is going to challenge us all of the time. It's not going to go according to plan. It's going to bump us off path. And so we are stuck between having that vision, trying to maintain that vision throughout our day, throughout our week, month, year, life, and trying to maintain that vision while operations happens, while you get run into in your vehicle and the meal that you brought in for lunch was spoiled because, I don't know, your partner left it out the night before, forgot to put it in the fridge and you didn't realize it, so now you scooped it up. Now you got to go to the bathroom and throw up. Like, man, life happens. Life is very complicated, it's very messy. And so we're all stuck in between there. Marcus Aurelius has a wonderful quote on this. Marcus Aurelius, Meditations 8.7. You need to stop being driven by the impressions of the moment. Marcus Aurelius warns us that if we respond reactively all the time, if we're always being reactive to whatever shows up in our lives, we lose the ability to think clearly and strategically. And that's exactly the point that I'm trying to make. How common is it? How many people, so far in this episode, I've been talking about people who actually have a vision, who actually are interested in philosophy, who have a goal in mind and find themselves falling short. How many people go through life, most of their life, without any thought of a vision, without any idea of where they're going? They're just being pulled in all of these different directions. They're being, as Marcus Aurelius puts it, they're being driven by the impressions of the moment. Man, how many people are like that? And it's easy to understand. You understand it. I understand it. That even with a vision, it's difficult to make any progress, any real, meaningful progress. Hey there. Let me thank you for being a listener to this ad-free podcast. If you enjoy the podcast, there are a few things you can do to help me out. A 5-star review on Spotify or wherever you're listening to this really does help, and it's free. You can also sign up for my Substack newsletter or Patreon. Substack free gets each episode emailed to you along with the transcripts in the form of an article. You'll also get access to my live talks, followed by a Q&A afterward. Substack Premium supporters and my patrons on Patreon get access to the recordings and a brief article of those Q&A sessions, access to full episodes of the Paradoxically Speaking podcast, my Steps to Success interview series, Stoic meditations, and much more. Links to Substack and Patreon can be found in the show notes. And then people without a vision, well, it's no wonder life goes to shit for some people. Man, if you don't even have a vision in place and you're just hoping to stumble upon happiness or meaning, whatever you want to call it, purpose, if you're hoping to just stumble upon these things without intention, without a vision, without a firm idea of who you want to become, good luck. It's hard enough doing it with a vision, with a plan. It's hard enough doing it when you meditate in the morning, when you do a little journal session, when you write down who you want to be, and then 20 minutes later you find yourself not being that person that you literally wrote down 20 minutes before that. Man, oh man. And so how do we do that? And I wish I had an answer for you, dear listeners, dear friends. I wish I could tell you, here's the secret. But the truth is that there is no secret. The truth is that if you want to make any progress, you have to have a vision. You have to have it written down. If you don't have that, that's a meaningful call to action that you can start right now. Get a piece of paper, get a pen, write down who you want to be. Who do you admire? Who in your life do you admire that you could think, man, it would be really nice to be that person. I really like that person, but I don't just like them. I respect them. I admire them. Their courage, their character, who they are. Get that down. If you don't have that down, that's start that today. Start this right now. Pause this episode, come back later. But then let's say you do. Let's say you have a firm idea. You have it written down. You got 3 books, you got meditations, you got letters from a Stoic, and you got discourses by Epictetus. Let's say you're a diehard Stoic and that's who you want to become. Well, even then, it's very difficult to not get distracted and let your impressions drive the moment. So what you need, once you know what the vision is, and once you have it written down, you need to carve out space to realign yourself with that vision. You need to carve out space, because if you do not, life is going to just drag you through the dirt. It's going to take you wherever it wants to take you. And there's not a whole lot you're going to be able to do about it. So what does that look like in practice? Okay, carve out time, carve out space. Meditations, not Meditations the book, literally meditations. Time to think, time to contemplate, time to journal, time to remind yourself on a weekly basis, on a daily basis, what you can actually do and who you want to be. What do you have to do to become who you want to be? Podcasts are great. I posed a question earlier, why are there's some people that have been listening to the Strong Stoic pretty much since its inception. And thank you. I deeply appreciate it. And I appreciate it because obviously you're listening to my podcast, but I appreciate it on another level in that you have something that I am talking about here, which is a routine. You have a plan. You have a checkpoint on the journey towards getting better. So every Tuesday or Thursday, an episode comes out, and it doesn't have to be the Strong Stoic. It can be another podcast. An episode comes out. Well, that's a weekly time for you to hear someone's thoughts on philosophy, dig deep into an example, relearn a lesson that maybe you already know, but maybe you just need a little reminder. And so what we're talking about there is, yes, there's the journaling and the reflective aspect, and you can do that in the mornings, you can do that every day, hopefully, or every week. But then there's just time to absorb material. There's time to refresh. Hopefully, podcasts are entertaining enough so that it keeps you entertained. But it doesn't even need to be just a Stoic-focused podcast. It can be a Stoic-focused book. It can be a book that you brush up on. Let me throw something even crazier at you. It can be a movie. It can be a TV show. And I'll take it a step further. It can probably be any TV show. That's the really cool thing about Stoicism, is it says everything external is indifferent and we put meaning on it. So if you're watching even something that's superficial, even something that's really superficial, a TV show, you can look at it through the Stoic lens. You can look at the interactions of two people in a toxic relationship and not say, oh, I want to be like that. You can actually look at that and with intention, diagnose that, understand it, where people's intentions are coming from, where character is just falling off the map here, why? And so that's the wonderful thing about Stoicism is it's not necessarily like Stoics don't say you have to read these 3 books, you have to memorize them start to finish, you better know all of the examples that Seneca brings up, you better know all the references to Epictetus. No, it doesn't say that. It actually says you can learn Stoicism, the principles, in a pragmatic manner. You can learn them anywhere if you are intentional. If you are intentional, and that's the key point. How do you become more intentional throughout your day without having life just drag you around? And so, again, you need to carve out space for this. You need to carve out patterns. You need to carve out routine. I will give you this quick, cool, I think, example at work. Okay, I'm in operations and we are reactive like all the time. My day becomes so reactive. You get phone calls, you get emails, you get jobs that pop up in the middle of the day or the middle of the night. You have to get crew members all around. It's reactive. This happens. Oh, I have to deal with that right now. You deal with that, you go on, then something else distracts you when you're trying to deal with this, and then something else pops up. What I can tell you, the optimistic thing about this balance that we're trying to make here is that you don't actually need to spend a lot of time in that strategic planning phase. You don't need to spend 20 hours a week focused on strategy. The same way as you don't need to spend 20 hours a week reading. You don't need to spend 20 hours a week journaling. You don't need that. What you need is 10 minutes every day. What you need is maybe 30 minutes once a week where you sit down and you delve really deep into something. Maybe a 20-minute window where you listen to a podcast episode. You don't need a lot of time. What you need is space in your calendar, in your schedule, where you are being intentional in setting your vision and understanding how you get from where you are right now to where you want to be. That's the optimistic take here. So you can let operations, you can let day-to-day life just drag you around for most of the day, as long as you take moments, and really they are only just little tiny moments, where you bring yourself back with intention to those principles, to that vision, so that ultimately you can move yourself forward.